If I ever die, it won't be long before I can be reborn in another form. So she united everyone to send me to the operating table. As long as I donate my heart to my sick brother, we could both be given a new lease on life. But after she personally took my heart out, she realized I did not reappear as I had the last at times. Yet she still longed for me every night. She had it all planned. She would live happily with me from then on. But what she didn't know was that I would never return. I always knew. Liu Ru had an unforgettable memory of her first love. 10 years ago, I had just received a system task. When I tried to get close to Liu Ru to increase her affection, I knew Liu Ru had no interest in any man, no matter how good he was. No matter how much I tried to please her. The task would always fail, until the third time, when the system changed my identity to be Li Sheng, the brother of Jiboda. With a face similar to Jiboda's, I successfully married Liu Ru. I stayed by her side for 8 whole years. During these 8 years, whether Liu Ru was down or happy, I stayed by her side. Whether she was lonely in her moments of sorrow, or celebrating in her moments of triumph, I was like a shadow accompanying her. Finally, her affection for me reached 99%. For a moment, I thought I had succeeded. I believed Liu Ru had fallen in love with me. But then Jiboda returned to the country, and he needed a heart surgery. At that moment, Liu Ru asked for my heart. Every time I refused, her affection for me dropped by 1 point. In the end, she simply confessed. Why resist? Even if you refuse, you can't leave me. I know you have a system task. Before the task is completed, you can only continue to please me. Then, she coldly added, if you obediently agree, I might even feel sorry for you. My affection for you will increase. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh, tears in my eyes. It was a bitter smile. Liu Ru was indeed very smart. Her IQ of 153 made her, at a young age, a top expert in the field of cardiology. Her attitude toward emotions was as cold as ice. She quantified her feelings entirely, controlling them bit by bit through numbers and data, like an experiment. She used those tiny hopes to make me compromise again and again. At that moment, I finally understood. Liu Ru didn't dislike me. She was just too cold, too heartless. She was like a piece of iron that couldn't be warmed, no matter how hard you tried. Since it was like this, I don't want to waste another 8 years. I lowered my head. Finally, I agreed to her. I'll give it to you. At the same time, I spoke to the system in my heart. Remember to change the target of the strategy. Once I gave my heart to Jiboda, this body would completely die. At that time, I no longer planned to pursue Liu Ru. Liu Ru and Ziwan, mother and daughter. I no longer wanted anything to do with them. Liu Ru's usually indifferent face showed an unexpected expression. I had always been stubborn, never easily bowing my head. So she must have been prepared for a tug of war. I agreed so quickly, even so decisively. Have you really thought this through? I nodded, forcing back a smile. Since you all want me to give my heart to him, then I'll give it. Liu Ru was momentarily stunned, frowning slightly, noticing something was off with me. But she didn't probe further. She simply said softly, "Come in and rest first." As soon as I entered, Z went through something in front of me. She looked down at me and said, "Bad dad, fix this." On the table was a model car. It seemed to be Jiboda's son's. I couldn't help but laugh sarcastically. This mother-daughter pair really was affectionate. Even my son's things were loved because of me. Z once saw me laughing. Her expression darkened. She frowned and said, "I need to see this fixed before tomorrow. Fix it right away." I coldly averted my gaze. I can't do it. The car model's parts were complex, Fixing it was not something that could be done in a short time. Besides, I had just been outside for 3 hours in the cold. My hands and feet were frozen and stiff. I couldn't do it at all. But Ziwen got angry. How can you be so useless? Can't do anything. I already promised Ziboje. It has to be fixed and given to him tomorrow. You must do it today. I coldly replied. Ziwen, I'm your father, not your nanny. I rarely got angry with her. Ziwen inherited her mother's high intelligence. She hardly ever needed my concern with her studies. Most of the time, I just took care of her daily life, from food and clothing to health, with great care. Despite all that, Ziwen was still always dissatisfied with me. She had gotten used to my unconditional devotion and began to take various demands more and more for granted. She confidently made me do anything for her. I always tolerated her before, but now I didn't want to tolerate it anymore. Liu Ruy came out of the kitchen. She said to Ziwen, "Let Dad rest tonight. We'll do it tomorrow." At this moment, Liu Ruy seemed to have returned to her image of a good wife. She placed a hot water bottle in my arms, trying to hold my hand. Why get angry with a child? I subtly moved back, avoiding her gesture. My voice was calm. I'm not angry with you. I'm just informing Z Washington that I won't be her family nanny anymore. Liu Ruy's hand froze in midair. Then she slowly withdrew it. In the silence, there was an atmosphere that made her feel unsure of herself, an indescribable sense of loss. Liu Ruy frowned. She had never seen me like this. In her expectations, I should have thrown a big tantrum, blaming her, resenting her, and then finally compromising. But now, I skipped all those steps, calmly accepting everything, as if I didn't care at all. Let's eat first. Liu Ruy changed the topic. Bringing a bowl of fish soup from the kitchen, she served the first bowl to me. Drink some soup to warm yourself up. Don't you love fish soup? I looked at the creamy soup in the bowl. The fish meat was soft and tender. The broth was fresh and flavorful. It was Liu Ruy's specialty. But a bitter feeling rose in my heart. The one who liked fish soup was Jiboder. Liu Ruy paused for a moment, then casually said, "You're brothers. Your tastes should be similar." I laughed self-deprecatingly. Jiboder and I had completely different tastes. But Liu Ruy only remembered Jiboda's. Her brain, which usually only remembered experimental data, had specifically reserved a space for everything related to Jiboder. This time, I lowered my head and said, "I hate fish soup. I hate the fishy taste in it. It smells awful. It's disgusting. One sip feels like drinking tears." Liu Ruy's movements didn't stop. She simply said calmly, I tightened my grip on the spoon. So this is what she cared about. I didn't say anything else. I forced myself to drink the entire bowl of fish soup. Then I turned and went to my room. We've been married for 8 years, but Liu Ruy and I sleep in separate rooms because Liu Ruy says she has light sleep, so I voluntarily sleep in the guest room. It's been like that for 8 years. Actually, she probably just doesn't want to share a bed with me. But now, I don't care anymore. The next morning, I woke up with a heavy head, dazed, unsure of when exactly. I heard a loud knock on the door. "Bad Dad, why haven't you gotten up to make breakfast for me?" My body felt so heavy. I barely managed to get up. And only then did I realize it was already 8 o'clock. Had school at 7:30. I used to always get up before 6 to prepare breakfast and the things she needed for school. I opened the door. Ziwen kicked my calf. At 7 years old, the girl already had some strength. I winced in pain and staggered back a few steps, grabbing the doorframe to prevent myself from falling. "Where's your mom?" The living room was empty. There was no one in the rooms either. Ziwen said matter-of-factly. Mom's at work. She's really busy. Unlike you, sitting at home all day, not doing anything. You even avoid getting up and making breakfast for me. Liu Rui was indeed very busy. As the top heart surgeon at the best hospital in Jiangshan, her work was all-consuming. She completely ignored the child and the family. When Ziwen was sick as a child, I took her to the hospital by myself, running up and down the halls, sweating profusely. In the end, Ziwen recovered, but I ended up falling ill. When Liu Rui found out, she simply coldly said, "Next time, remember to call the nanny." A nanny? She said it so lightly. She had never taken care of a child. Of course, she didn't know how much a parent worries when a child is sick. A nanny can only do the errands, but the company, the care. How could I trust a nanny to do that? Liu Rui never understood that. She only blamed me for not being tough enough. And now, Ziwen felt the same way. Uncle Boder is right. You're just lazy, useless. You're not even a good father. Children speak without thinking, and it hurts the most. I looked at her. This child I had raised on my own. The one who used to hug my neck as a child, sweetly calling me dad, swearing to be my little cotton-padded jacket for life. How is it now that she's become like this? I bitterly smiled. Ziwen, can't you see I'm sick? Ziwen finally noticed my pale face. She furrowed her brow, her expression as cold as Liu Rui's. There was no concern, only displeasure. Really stupid. Why did you have to get sick right now? Someone who can't even manage their health doesn't deserve to be my father. After saying this, Ziwen left with her backpack. I stood at the door, dizzy and weak. Slowly, I leaned against the doorframe and crouched down. The door slammed shut behind me. I stood there, bitterly thinking, soon, I won't be your father anymore. I swallowed 2 cold medicine pills. I put on a mask and left the house. The winter in December was really cold. I took a cab to the company building. My team had been waiting for me for a while. Mr. G, you're finally here. The final design for this quarter's main piece hasn't been decided yet. We're waiting for you to make the decision. I took the design plans from the assistant. I was an art student. After graduation, I worked as a designer at a fashion company. A few years later, I started my own fashion brand. Although it's not a large company, it is the culmination of all my heart and effort. I pay special attention to the quality of design drafts. However, this time the submissions included several very poor ones. I frowned. How could the company hire such low-level interns? The assistant looked troubled, hesitating, then said, "Well, this one was drawn by your brother, G. Boder. No wonder. 3 months ago, G. Boder came back to the country after divorcing and bringing his son. Unable to find a suitable job, my parents asked me to offer him a director position at the company. But G. Boder's level, let alone a director, couldn't even reach the standard of an intern. I naturally refused. But after the whole family kept pressuring and enticing me, even causing a scene at the company, in the end, I had no choice but to arrange a designer position for him. Who would have thought he'd submit such work? Take all of these out. I ordered the assistant. From now on, just do some superficial work. But don't bring anything like this to me. I can't stand looking at it." Then I took out the design drafts I'd improved over the past few days. From my bag, I held them up and discussed with a few designers to see if they were good enough for the top-tier designs. The assistant's eyes immediately lit up. "Mr. G, you're too humble. This will definitely work. Your level is obvious to everyone." I just took it as flattery. I turned and started handling the rest of the work. After the heart transplant, this body would undoubtedly die. After it died, the system would give me a new body. After that, this company would probably no longer be able to operate. After all, it was years of hard work. I was planning to pass it on to my best friend. But before that, I wanted to finish the work properly, to stand my ground for the last shift. I worked until 2 p.m. When my stomach growled, I realized I hadn't eaten anything all day. I was about to go downstairs for lunch when the office door was pushed open. It was Djibota's father, covered in dust. When he saw me, his gaze was sharp. "You're here after all," he said, then quickly walked over, and with a few quick steps, he gave a brief command. "Come with me to the hospital." I didn't move. The person in front of me was my biological father, the same person who had once kicked me out of the G family. Both Djibota and I were sons of the G family, but our parents only cared about Djibota. In their eyes, Djibota was the obedient, thoughtful son, while I, Ji Xingchen, was the cunning, treacherous bad one. So when Djibota accused me of stealing, no matter how much I defended myself, it was all in vain. Even if Djibota set me up, it ruined my reputation and even implicated the G family. They never doubted Djibota, but blamed everything on me. At that time, I was the one who stepped forward, and in front of countless media cameras, I declared, "The G family only has one son, and that's Djibota. Ji Xingchen has been expelled from the G family, and everything I say and do is unrelated to the G family." Everyone laughed, calling me the poor soul abandoned by the family. And now, he appears in front of me again. ZDA's condition has worsened. You need to go give him the blood transfusion. The office was as silent as death. I really wanted to ask, 7 years later, how could he stand here so confidently and say such a thing? What does his life and death have to do with me? Djibota's father's face turned pale with anger. "He is your biological brother." I forced a bitter smile. "Have you forgotten? 7 years ago, you had already kicked me out of the G family. I no longer have any family, no brother." Djibota's father froze for a moment. The words he had spoken years ago had ultimately become a boomerang, striking him back. "To the proud man, bow your head and beg. The doctor says ZDA's heart function is very poor, and he has anemia. Only a transfusion can keep him going. Right now, we haven't found a heart source. You must come back with me for the transfusion." I looked at him and felt a deeper bitterness in my heart. I had never seen Djibota's father beg for anyone like this. Djibota truly was the person he cherished most. And it wasn't just him. Liu Ruy, Ziwan. Didn't they also treat Djibota as their faith? Thinking of this, my eyes grew a little moist. "Fine, I'll agree to it. But I have one condition. I want all of the G family's shares from Djibota." Djibota's father's gaze turned cold. "Ji Xingchen, don't push your luck. This is the condition. If you don't agree, then leave." After a long silence, Djibota's father dragged me all the way to the hospital. I felt my body starve for the entire day. He didn't give me a moment of rest and faint, dragging me to the blood transfusion room. The nurse, seeing my pale face, asked kindly, "If you're low on blood sugar, would you like to rest for a bit? Or eat something?" But Djibota's father impatiently urged. This private hospital was invested in by Djibota's father. The nurse was so scared that she didn't dare delay. She quickly prepared the blood transfusion. When the needle was inserted, I felt a wave of dizziness, a severe cold, combined with the low blood sugar from not eating all day. Halfway through the transfusion, I started to have difficulty breathing. My head, uncontrollably, tilted to the side. The nurse was horrified. She cried out, "I can't keep drawing. If I keep drawing, something will happen." Djibota's father looked incredibly grim. He was also afraid that something might actually go wrong. It wasn't that he feared I would die, but he was afraid that without me, Djibota would be useless. "All right, let's use this for now." I was helped into the resting room. I had completely lost consciousness. In a dazed state, I had no idea how much time had passed. A woman burst in and slapped me hard across the face. She was crying uncontrollably. It's all your fault. Why are you pretending to faint here? What use is this little bit of blood? The pain woke me up. I saw my mother's face, swollen from crying. She grabbed me and started pounding me with her fists. Why did I even have you too? If it had just been Zida, it would have been better. You're a death bringer. You took Zida's nutrients when you were in my womb. That's why he was born with a heart condition. Now you need to give him your blood. Stop acting here. Do you really want your brother to die? Her words stabbed deep into my heart. They were unbearably harsh. I, who never cried, couldn't stop the cold tears from flowing. These words I had heard countless times since I was a child. Just because Jiboda and I were Li Sheng brothers. Just because Jiboda's heart didn't develop properly. Everything was my fault. I took Jiboda's share of survival resources. None of the family loved me. My wife and daughter hated me. I was born with original sin. Slap after slap landed on my face, until a hand blocked them. Jiboda's mother was stopped by Jiboda's father. When Jiboda's father saw Ruy, he was equally surprised. How did you get here? Ruy simply said, I heard Jiboda's condition isn't good. I came to check on him. Don't worry too much. I've already found a heart for him. He will recover soon. Jiboda's mother, who had been crying just moments ago, suddenly stopped. Really? Where did you find a heart? Is Zida really saved? Ruy confirmed again. I have some other resources. I will personally oversee the transplant. Jiboda will be discharged safely. When I heard the words personally oversee, my heart trembled. Then I couldn't help but bitterly smile. After Jiboda's mother left, Ruy, feeling the warmth in my arms, took me to the hospital room. She thoughtfully prepared a blanket and hot water. Lying on the hospital bed, Ruy took a thermometer to measure my temperature. When she saw it was 41 degrees, she frowned. You're burning up. Why didn't you call me? I curled up, sarcastically saying, Director Liu, you're so smart. A master at healing. Guess you didn't expect this. If a person stays in a hallway that's under 5 degrees for an hour, they're bound to get sick, right? She just didn't care. She didn't care about me, so she wouldn't care about my health. What she cared about, from start to finish, was only the heart inside her own body. Ruy paused her movement, then it seemed like she felt guilty, and quietly said, Sorry. Her voice was very low. I thought it was just my imagination. By my bedside, Ruy sat down and held my burning hand. She whispered, Sorry. I promise you, after this, I'll live well with you. Whatever conditions you want, I'll fulfill them. I'll love you properly. But I didn't look at her. I silently withdrew my hand. After for drips all night, I started to feel better the next day. Ruy didn't go back to her hospital job, but stayed here with me instead. She brought a few pills over. The medicine was bitter. I frowned as I took it. Ruy brought a glass of orange juice. How long will it take for my cold to get better? Ruy answered, Generally, a common cold takes about 7 days to heal. Your fever is a bit severe, so it might take around 10 days. Will this delay the heart transplant for Jiboda? I said it casually, as if I were talking about something trivial. Ruy looked at me with a complex expression. Suddenly, she felt like she couldn't understand me anymore. She didn't answer immediately. I continued. If my cold isn't better, it shouldn't matter, right? After all, once the heart is taken out, I won't be able to survive anyway. Does it even matter if I have a cold? The words were too cruel, but I said them with complete calmness, like a detached blade. Ruy, for some reason, felt a deep discomfort. She insisted, I'll make sure you're healthy when you go for the surgery, healthy when you go up, and dead when you come down? I couldn't understand what she was insisting on. Outside the room, Djibota's father entered with a stock transfer agreement. He slammed the file, with its cover on, right onto my face. Djibota's father's voice was cold. As you wished. All of ZDA's shares are now yours. In this, half are mine, half are Djibota's. Altogether, it's 20%. That's enough to get a seat on the board. I was satisfied. I signed the paper. Then, after everyone left, I called my lawyer. I want to entrust my inheritance to you. The lawyer came with my friend, He-Fan. When they saw me lying on the bed, pale, looking skeletal, He-Fan's anger flared up instantly. Bastards! They're really a bunch of bastards. How can they treat you like this? I'm going to find them and settle this. I stopped him. During the time I was trying to win over Liu Rui, I didn't meet many good people. But He-Fan was an exception. He always stood firmly by my side, no matter what I faced. He was the first to lend a helping hand. He-Fan was also, apart from Liu Rui, the second person to know about my system. Up until now, I had finally told He-Fan about my plan to change targets. In other words, you can finally get rid of that terrible woman, Liu Rui. I nodded. He-Fan stood up, excited. That's great! Finally, the system is doing something right. You should have gotten rid of Liu Rui sooner. Let her suffer. I laughed at his teasing. Then I looked at my lawyer. I want to give all of my G family shares and the company to He-Fan. Also some cash. I'd like to donate it to the kids in the mountains. The lawyer wasn't surprised after hearing this, but still followed the procedure and asked, "And your family? Will you leave them anything?" "Not a single penny." He-Fan's eyes reddened when he heard that. "I'm just temporarily holding onto it for you. Once you come back with a new identity, I'll return everything to you. You must come back." I nodded. Outside the door, Liu Rui walked in. "Come back?" Her eyes were very cautious. I wasn't sure how much she had heard. I quickly explained. I told He-Fan that after I recover, I'll go travel abroad for a while. He asked me to bring him something when I return. Liu Rui didn't show much expression after hearing this. She only looked suspicious for a moment, then returned to her usual demeanor. "Remember to go for your checkup later." I breathed a sigh of relief. Liu Rui personally took me to the checkup. I knew! This checkup was to see if my heart met the donation requirements. When I came out of the examination room, I happened to bump into Djibota. He was sitting in a wheelchair, his thin figure beneath the hospital gown, his face pale, occasionally coughing, just sitting there. He made people feel sorry for him. "Brother, I heard from my wife that they found a heart for me." Djibota suddenly spoke. "Are you happy for me?" I looked into his black eyes. So bright, so innocent. But underneath, there was deep malice. "Do you really think I don't know anything?" "Happy." I smiled. With a hint of sincerity. "I'm happy." I didn't see the reaction I expected. Djibota seemed a bit dissatisfied. He raised his hand as if unintentionally. "That's great. You've always had a prejudice against me. I thought you didn't want me to have the surgery." The men's wedding band on my ring finger was very conspicuous. It matched the one on Liu Rui's hand. They were a pair. I didn't pretend not to notice. My gaze stayed on it. Djibota quickly took it off when he saw me looking. "This was a gift from my wife when I returned to the country. It doesn't mean anything else. I originally wore it on my middle finger, but my hand swelled up because I'm sick, so I had to wear it on my ring finger. You won't blame me, right?" As he spoke, Djibota began coughing violently. Liu Rui came out of the examination room, and this was what she saw. She quickly walked over, protecting Djibota behind her, and shouted at me. "What did you do to Djibota? He's a patient now. Why are you making things difficult for him?" I looked at her, so emotionally disturbed, and smiled self-deprecatingly. It seemed that no matter how calm and rational a person was, they could lose control at times. Just because of Jibota's little cough. She hadn't even asked about the details, but instinctively placed me in the role of the perpetrator. This is my wife, the person I once deeply loved. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by something. Unable to breathe, Jibota was still coughing. Don't be angry, sister-in-law. Brother didn't do anything. He just commented on the ring on my hand. Please don't blame him for that. Liu Ruyu's face grew even darker. The transplant surgery date has been set. All these petty tricks behind the scenes won't work. I won't let anything interfere with Jibota's surgery. She thought that I didn't want to donate my heart, so I was intentionally provoking Jibota's condition. But I didn't explain anything. Anyway, explaining wouldn't help. Liu Ruy wouldn't listen to anything else. I silently turned and returned to the hospital room. I closed the door. Now, the only thing keeping me company was my design drafts. I liked drawing, and I liked designing. My biggest wish over the years was to see the clothes I designed walk the runway once. Fortunately, I received an invitation for next year's fashion show, and fortunately, I probably won't make it until next year. So I want to finish my design drafts before the surgery. At least I'll have fulfilled one wish. While sketching and making changes, the medicine began to take effect, and I felt a bit drowsy. I casually placed the sketchbook by my bedside and drifted into a deep sleep. When I woke up again, I felt something in my ears and saw a little boy drawing all over my design drafts with a pencil. The well-done drafts now looked completely ruined. I immediately sat up, grabbed the boy's hand, and shouted, "What are you doing?" The little boy was startled and looked up. It was a face that resembled Jibota's by about 70%. It was Jibota's son. Zibai, you bad person. You made my daddy uncomfortable. I'm going to punish you for daddy. Zibai cried, shouting loudly. His sharp voice was like nails scraping against glass. I watched as all my emotions were destroyed. Anger surged up. I couldn't care less about whether he was a child or not. Who told you to touch my sketchbook? Hasn't your parent taught you? Don't touch other people's things. Zibai cried louder. He kept shouting, "Help! The bad person is going to hit me. Help! Aunt Liu, help! Grandpa, help!" Before long, Jibota's father and Liu Ruy rushed in together. They pushed me away. Both of them were very strong. I was knocked heavily against the bed frame. My head throbbed with pain. Everything before my eyes went dark. Ziwan, seeing Zibai's tear-streaked face and his wrist red from being pulled, turned and punched me twice. "Bad daddy, why did you hurt Zibai?" Zibai cried so hard that he couldn't speak. He said, sobbing. Zibai saw this uncle sleeping, so I wanted to cover him with a blanket. Zibai doesn't know why he upset uncle. Uncle is going to hit Zibai. Zibai is so scared. Zibai almost got beaten to death. Hearing this, Jibota's father became furious. Ji Xingchen, do you have any decency left? You actually hit a child. I didn't say anything. I lowered my head, touching my forehead. There was a wet, sticky trace of blood. Jibota's father didn't notice at all. He scolded me angrily. Is this the kind of family teaching I gave you? Why would you hit a child? My face turned pale. I raised my head. If I say I didn't, will you believe me? Liu Ruy's voice was cold. Ji Xingchen, stop lying every day. We all saw it. It was as if she was reminding me that this wasn't the time to be stubborn, but to apologize properly. I smiled faintly. I looked at the child, who was still crying and occasionally glancing over here. Fine, I did hit him. Anyway, no one will believe me. Jibota's father, furious, raised his hand sharply. Liu Ruy quickly stopped him. I knew She was just worried about the heart being damaged. Once the surgery date was set, I couldn't afford any mistakes. Liu Ruy pushed Jibota's father out of the room. The room was left with just her, Ziwan, and me. Liu Rui's face was cold. It's just a few sheets of paper. How could you be so out of control? Is it really that important? I shook with anger. A few sheets of paper. That was my work. It was my heart and soul. It was something I loved. But in Liu Ruy's mouth, it was just a few sheets of paper. I suddenly found it laughable. I laughed, but tears started to flow. I realized in the eyes of these people, I was in such an insignificant position. I covered my chest, feeling a real, tangible pain. It turns out that when your heart broken to the extreme, it really does feel like your heart is breaking. Liu Ruy's expression changed slightly when she saw this. She quickly supported me. What's wrong? Don't get too worked up. Take a deep breath. It's just a small thing. Why make such a big deal of it? Fine, I won't mention it again. Take a deep breath. I said take a deep breath. I can't take it anymore. I pushed her away forcefully. Get away from me. All of you, get away. Liu Ruy dared not provoke me further. She turned and walked away. Her face was extremely unpleasant. That night, my emotions slightly calmed down. Liu Ruy then brought the notice. The surgery date was set for 10 days later. I didn't react much. Liu Ruy continued. We were going to wait until you recovered. But you've been so uncooperative. At this rate, it will only get more unstable. 10 days later is the best date. I simply nodded calmly, as if I had accepted everything. Liu Ruy's expression softened. After a moment of silence, she said, I'll personally oversee the surgery. After the anesthesia is injected, you won't feel any pain. I could detect a rare tenderness in her voice. I looked up, showing a weak, pale face. Should I thank you? Liu Ruy couldn't find the words. I was already so thin. My cheeks were sunken, and my lips were pale. I lay in bed, my eyes holding the last bit of unwillingness. Liu Ruy, have you ever thought about it? What if I really do die after the surgery? Liu Ruy's movements froze for a moment. She stood still, for the first time feeling panic. But soon, Liu Ruy regained her composure. She said rationally, the facts have proven, till the mission is completed, you won't really die. So don't try to guilt-trip me. The unwillingness in my eyes completely dissipated. It slowly faded into darkness. This is my last effort. Liu Ruy. There's no one in this world who knows their heart is being trampled and still sacrifices it willingly. At least, I'm not that person. From now on, Jixing Chen will completely disappear from your life. In the hospital room, there was a silent stillness. Liu Ruy looked at the tears at the corner of my eyes. Her chest tightened with pain as well. But soon, she suppressed that pain. Rationality told her it was just temporary. Once the surgery was done, everything would pass. At that time, she would make it up to me. We would go back to how things were before. I will return to her side. I will be reborn. Everything still has a chance. After that, I became very quiet. Every day, I either worked on my drafts or stared blankly out the window. The last 10 days, I simply lived by counting the days. I no longer felt any attachment to what was before me. Liu Ruy left all her work behind and stayed at the hospital, taking me to do tests, blood draws, taking medicine. The needles made my arms look bruised, but I didn't make a sound. The endless silence only made her feel more anxious. When we passed Jibota's room, Jibota's father looked at me with a complex expression. He asked, "What are you doing? Does a cold really require all these tests? Are you just pretending to make us feel sorry for you?" I didn't explain. My face had grown paler every day. I had lost so much weight. My entire body looked so much thinner. I never looked at him. Jibota's father felt a surge of anger. You've never been like your brother. Always scheming. Doing these things will only make us hate you more. You should just leave the hospital and disappear from our sight." As he spoke, Djibota's father slapped me hard. I, already weak, couldn't keep my balance. I fell to the floor. The report I was holding scattered all over the place. Djibota's father jumped in shock. "What are you pretending for? I just lightly pushed you. Now you're even trying to fake it with your own father?" I didn't explain. I gritted my teeth, enduring the pain. I bent down to gather the scattered papers. It was filled with my various medical test reports. Djibota's father glanced at them, picked up one sheet casually. "Why are you even doing this hard test?" He was about to look at the other papers way. Djibota's voice came from behind. "Dad!" He was pushing his wheelchair, his face looking weak. He grabbed Djibota's father's sleeve. "Dad, don't be mad at brother. He just wants you to care more about him. You've been with me for so long. It's normal that brother is unhappy. You should go be with him." "I'm fine." As he spoke, Djibota weakly clutched his chest and began to gasp. Djibota's father saw this and immediately dropped the report in his hand. "Child, you're in this condition, and as an older brother, you don't think of helping. You're just pretending to be sick and vying for attention. Why speak for him? Besides, if it weren't for him, would you have been born with this disease?" Fatherly love and filial piety. What a beautiful picture. My heart had long since become numb. Behind me, Liu Ruy emerged from the report room. When she saw this scene, her face changed drastically. She quickly stepped forward, picked up the reports, and without saying a word, pulled me back to the hospital room. As soon as we entered the room, the stack of reports was thrown at me. Liu Ruy's tone was heavy. "Was this intentional? Did you deliberately drop the reports in front of Djibota to make him see the contents, so he would feel guilty and then refuse the surgery? Ji Xingchen, you're so calculating." Her cold words struck me like a heavy blow to the heart. I lowered my head and smiled bitterly. "Is that what you think? Then so be it. Anyway, it doesn't matter what I say. Whenever it involves Djibota, Liu Ruy loses all reason. My family, my partner, even my daughter, they all only believe in Djibota. No matter how much I explain, it's useless." I silently returned to the bed. I asked, "Is there anything else you need?" Liu Ruy was silent for a moment. Then her gaze fell on the bedside table, on the sketchbook that Zibai had destroyed. Before Djibota's surgery, he had one last wish: to appear on the runway as a designer. "Aren't you supposed to be participating in next year's show? Why don't you give your spot to Djibota?" I raised my head in shock. "This is also my dream. I've worked so hard for it. Now you want me to give it to him? Why should I? I can't agree to that." Liu Ruy furrowed her brows again. "It's just one spot. What's the big deal? Djibota is different from you. He's afraid of the surgery. He just wants to fulfill a small wish before going under the knife. As his older brother, you can't even fulfill this?" I clenched my fists tightly. How could she say it so lightly? As if everything I've sacrificed doesn't matter? As long as Djibota wants it, everything has to be given up. I've already agreed to give him my heart. Now, does he want to take my dream as well? I asked, my eyes red with anger. Liu Ruy's heart shook. Outside the door, the sound of Djibota's strained crying could be heard. "If you don't agree to me, I won't have the surgery. The surgery is so dangerous. What if I don't come back after the surgery? I just want to fulfill a small wish. You can't satisfy me? Then I'd rather just die here." Djibota's father, hearing this, quickly shook his head. "Son, how can you say such things?" "I'll agree to it." After saying that, Djibota's father took big strides toward me and ordered, "Give your spot to your brother." His tone was not up for negotiation. I didn't want to give in. I was the one invited by the organizers. It's my dream. Djibota's father's face darkened immediately. He scolded me loudly. Jibota is your brother. Can't you stop being so selfish? Are you trying to intentionally make him suffer? Is that what makes you happy? I looked at him with teary eyes, stubbornly refusing to compromise. Fine, Jibota's father said fine several times in succession. Finally, he took out his phone. In front of me, he said, "Not listening, huh? Don't even think about keeping your crappy company. Do you believe I can have someone acquire your company right now? Isn't it all about the heart? Think about it carefully. Which is more important to you? Your company or one spot?" I shuddered. I looked at him in disbelief. This is my father, using my weakness to hurt me time and again. Would I compromise? I clenched my fists, my hands tightening. I knew once Jibota's father said this, he could really make it happen. Reviewanime was also persuading me from the side. "You can have the spot next time. Let it go to Boda this time. Please, just let it go." I was in tears, but suddenly I smiled. I looked at the people in front of me. They were all my closest people. Husband, family, children, all siding with Jibota. Fine, I'll give it up. After saying that, I looked at everyone. Are you all satisfied now? Everyone let out a sigh of relief. They turned to look at Jibota. Only I looked up and closed my eyes, still letting the tears fall uncontrollably. The light in my eyes dimmed bit by bit, and finally completely faded away. At night, Reviewanime brought a bowl of porridge. It was my favorite seafood porridge. The aroma was rich, but I had no appetite. I simply lay on the bed. In the trash can was the sketchbook I had discarded myself. Reviewanime personally brought the porridge to my lips, but I still didn't respond. I just turned my head coldly. There was a long silence. Reviewanime put the porridge down. "Then you eat it yourself." The room fell silent again. I looked at the porridge on the table and threw it straight into the trash can. The next day, I saw Jibota waiting for me in the hallway. His eyes were full of arrogance. "Brother, what good is your talent? In the end, the opportunity is still mine. No matter how hard you try, it's all in vain. As long as I want something, Mom, Dad, and even Reviewanime, they'll hand it to me. You've never had this kind of treatment, have you?" Jibota laughed suddenly, his smile full of chilling malice. "I don't know if, after my surgery, you'll still have a chance to see me on the runway." That look in his eyes clearly showed that he knew everything. I looked at him coldly and said only one sentence. "Even if you get on stage with your level, you'll only become a joke." Jibota's face instantly darkened. With no one around, he didn't hide his expression. He sneered. "Instead of worrying about me, why not focus on your good friend? I heard he's in trouble right now." My face changed drastically. "What do you mean?" Jibota feigned innocence. "You don't know yet, do you? Your good friend, he came to me and was acting all sarcastic. I just told Dad I didn't like him. It seems like Dad purposely sent someone to handle him, although it's a bit tricky. But you know Dad's methods. He can easily frame him with some tax charges. Not sitting in jail for 10 or 8 years would be impossible." I couldn't hold back anymore. I slapped him hard across the face. "Crazy! Why don't you come at me instead? Why go after my friend?" Jibota smiled without a care. "Who told you to care about him? Now you don't have anything left for me to target, so I can only make things difficult for him. If you're going to blame anyone, blame yourself. You've ruined your good friend. What does that have to do with me?" Jibota smiled innocently, but behind it, there was a chilling cruelty. I raised my hand, but before it could land, it was harshly pushed aside. Reviewanime rushed over, angrily shielding Jibota behind her. "What are you doing?" She glared at me, her eyes full of fury. "What did Boda do to you? Are you going to hit him again?" In the blink of an eye, Jibota started coughing uncontrollably. Jaron, it's not my brother's fault. I accidentally offended him with my words. It's fine to vent by hitting me. I don't feel any pain. Suddenly, Boder pretended to struggle to breathe, as if he was about to die from discomfort. Liu Ruy's face turned even darker. Ji Xingchen, are you crazy? Why are you hitting Boder? Look at what you've done, you've triggered him. I couldn't be bothered to pay attention to her. I only had one thought on my mind now, to call He-fan and warn him to be cautious. However, as soon as I took out my phone, Liu Ruy slapped it out of my hand. Do you even have a heart? You're thinking about playing with your phone at a time like this? Boda's condition can't handle any more stress. The phone hit the ground, and the screen shattered into pieces. I picked it up and checked. It was completely broken. It couldn't be turned on again. Liu Ruy didn't care about her actions. She grabbed my hand tightly and said loudly, Boda's condition has worsened. He needs to have the surgery immediately. That's when I noticed. Boda was clutching his chest, gasping for air. He was putting on a show of extreme pain. He grabbed Liu Ruy's sleeve, but his eyes were mocking me. You can tell he's just acting. I pushed her away and was about to go to the nurse's desk to borrow a phone, but Liu Ruy's people quickly held me down. There was no chance to resist. Do you want to back out now? No need to wait any longer. The surgery must be done immediately. I was dragged toward the operating room. I was too weak to resist. I could only plead with Liu Ruy. I won't back out. Please let me make a call first. I have something urgent. Liu Ruy didn't listen at all. She just thought I was stalling. I was helplessly pressed down on the operating table. Several people bound me tightly. Tears of anxiety fell from my eyes. I kept begging. Liu Ruy, I beg you, just let me make a call. It's just a phone call. Please. But Liu Ruy coldly said, administer the anesthesia. The cold liquid was injected into my body. I knew I had no chance left. My eyelids grew heavier. Everything before my eyes grew darker. In the last second before I lost consciousness, I looked at the woman in front of me. Tears slid down the corner of my eyes. Liu Ruy, I hate you. In the darkness, a cold, mechanical sound echoed in my mind. Regrettably, affinity insufficient. Host's third mission failed. This body will soon die. As per the host's wishes. We have already selected a new target for you. We are looking for the right moment for your rebirth. Beep! With the cold alarm from the heart monitor, the nurse's voice sounded. Dr. Liu, the heart removal was successful. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Except Liu Ruy, whose hand suddenly trembled. A great sense of panic overwhelmed her. She instinctively looked at the person on the operating table. I looked serene, calmly lying there. There wasn't a trace of breath left. It was she who had removed my heart with her own hands. Liu Ruy suddenly felt a sense of disorientation. It wasn't until someone beside her nudged her that she snapped back. Dr. Liu, isn't it time to transplant the heart now? Only then did she realize. Yes, Boda is saved. Isn't this what she had always wanted? After 6 hours of surgery, Liu Ruy walked out of the operating room. Boda's father and mother were anxiously waiting outside. Even Ziwen and Zibai had come. Everyone was concerned about Boda's condition. The surgery was very successful. Liu Ruy said. Boda's parents immediately burst into tears of joy. Ziwen and Zibai jumped up in excitement. No one cared about what happened to me. In the operating room, Boda was wheeled out. Boda's mother followed the nurse to the ward. Boda's father stayed behind to thank Liu Ruy. His eyes were filled with tears. He grasped Liu Ruy's hand. Liu. You truly are a great daughter-in-law. If it weren't for you finding the heart source and personally performing the surgery for Boda, his surgery probably wouldn't have gone so smoothly. If I had known, I should have let Boda marry you. Actually, back then, he trailed off. Boda's father sighed again. Never mind, forget it. Can you tell me, uncle? Who donated the heart source? I would like to properly thank his family. Just as the words left his mouth, the operating room door behind them opened. The nurse pushed me out, covered with a white sheet. As we passed by, a corner of the sheet was blown up by the wine from the window. A hand with a birthmark appeared. Boda's father froze. This is ... He recognized the birthmark. It was the one on my body. Instinctively, he followed. When Liu Ruy saw this, she quickly stopped him, blocking his view. Organ donations are confidential. It's the rule. Uncle, please don't ask anymore. Boda's father paused, not thinking much of it. Maybe the birthmark is just similar. In the hallway, Liu Ruy took over the nurse's duties, pushing me to the morgue herself. In the cold morgue, she lifted the sheet, looking at me pale and lifeless. There was a gaping wound on my chest, though she knew this wasn't real death. Seeing me lying there so coldly in the morgue, Liu Ruy's heart tightened sharply. It felt like she had truly lost me. A delayed pain spread through her. Liu Ruy held my hand. Trying to comfort herself, she said softly, "It's okay. You'll come back. You love me so much. You'll definitely come back, even if you don't want to come back. Before your mission is complete, the system won't let you leave me." Liu Ruy lowered her head, her forehead resting against my cold one. She whispered a promise. "When you return, we'll live happily together." If it were the old me, I would have gently stroked her brows and said, "Okay," but now, the only response to her was endless silence. Based on Liu Ruy's experience, I would usually return within 3 days. I would inhabit another body, live under a new identity. And Liu Ruy was confident, no matter what I became, or what identity I assumed, as long as I appeared beside her, she would definitely recognize me. When they left the morgue, Liu Ruy saw Ziwan. She was standing at the door, peering inside. Her expression was a bit awkward. "Did Dad ... die?" Liu Ruy simply said, "He'll be back in a few days." Ziwan didn't respond. Walking into the morgue, she lifted the sheet covering me. Though she had been prepared, her face still turned a little pale. Her eyes suddenly reddened. Then, without a word, she turned and ran away. In Boda's hospital room, he gradually began to wake up from the anesthesia. He gently touched the area on his chest. His face looked a bit confused. "Will I be like a normal person from now on?" Liu Ruy nodded. Boda immediately shed tears of gratitude. He looked at his father and mother. "Dad... Ziran, thank you so much." A happy atmosphere filled the room. Boda wiped his eyes. Suddenly, he brought up, "Where's my brother? My illness is cured. Surely, he must be very happy too. I want to tell him." Liu Ruy's expression slightly changed. Boda's father snorted dismissively. "Who knows where he went? Ever since you entered the operating room, he hasn't been seen again. He clearly doesn't care about you, his brother." A flicker of realization passed through Boda's eyes. But he was still concerned. So he asked Liu Ruy, "Ziran, is my brother angry with me?" Liu Ruy didn't know how to answer, no matter how she explained. The identity of Jixing Chen was gone. It was a done deal. She didn't answer, but comforted him instead. "Rest well." Then she left the room. At night, Boda's father went outside to smoke. He saw the nurse cleaning up the next door room. The room was empty. Boda's father couldn't help but ask, "What happened to the person inside?" The nurse shook her head. "I don't know. I'm just here to clean the room." "Are you a relative of the patient?" He seemed to have left a sheet on the bed. "Take it with you." As she spoke, the nurse handed over a paper. Boda's father took it and looked at it. It was a matching test result. The result showed that my heart was a perfect match for Boda. In the cold night, Boda's father's hand trembled. What is this? The nurse thought he didn't understand, so she explained. It's a matching test. The donor and recipient match perfectly. Boda's father's hand began to shake. He looked at the paper in disbelief. He flipped through it, checking it back and forth. On the paper were clearly writ the names of Jixing Chen and Boda. Clearly. Without a doubt. In that moment, he recalled all the tests I had done before. He remembered the test sheet I left at the door of the hospital room. He remembered the body covered with a white sheet outside the operating room. The wind blew up the white sheet. The birthmark on the hand looked so familiar. Boda's father's hand shook. The paper fell to the ground. He walked unsteadily, almost falling on his way. When he finally pushed open the morgue door, he saw me lying on the autopsy table, completely silent. Boda's father's face lost all color. He collapsed, running toward me. Liu hurriedly rushed over and supported him. She blocked his view. She wanted to explain. Boda's father pushed her away forcefully. Then he broke down and asked, "What is going on?" Liu fell silent. Boda's father interrogated her. "You said you found the heart source. The heart source belongs to Jixing Chen. What did you do?" Boda's father screamed in despair. Liu explained. Boda's condition was really bad. The heart source was too difficult to find, so you let crossing Chen die? No matter how bad he was my son, and he was your husband. Liu looked up, staring at Boda's father. This was the only way to save Boda. If you were the one who had to make the choice, would you have done anything differently? The morgue fell into silence. No response. Silence was the best answer. Boda's father staggered back a few steps, realizing something. Finally, he covered his face and wept. He apologized to my body. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, my child." Liu said nothing. She silently leaned against the wall. After a long while, she finally spoke. "I'm sorry to him. I've already bought a ticket to leave the country. After Boda is discharged from the hospital, I'll leave here with his ashes. He didn't want to see you." After Liu said that, she turned and left. Months passed. She returned to the familiar home once more. Liu still felt a bit disoriented. After all, I had lived with her for 8 years. The house was filled with traces of me. Our wedding photo was still on the wall. In the photo, I smiled so happily, so full of life. Liu felt a pang in her heart. She went downstairs to buy something. As she passed the neighborhood, an aunt downstairs asked her, Liu, how come I haven't seen ZG around lately?" Liu didn't know how to respond. He went back to his hometown. Why did he go back to his hometown? He was just telling me last time that you always stay up late and your health wasn't good. He asked me to bring back a free-range old hen from the village to make soup and help you. I brought the chicken back. Did he forget about it? It's okay. Please take it with you. Liu looked at the chicken being handed to her, suddenly filled with mixed emotions. Thank you. Liu silently went upstairs. The large house was eerily quiet. She wasn't a talkative person. She had always been accustomed to silence at home. But I used to talk a lot. I would share little everyday things with her. Most of the time, she found it annoying. Now, that voice was gone. And she realized that silence could also be a form of torment. In a daze, the door opened. Liu instinctively stood up. "Xing Chen? You're back?" As the words left her mouth,